Hello everyone, welcome on in. It's a new week here on Betting Weekly WTA. It's your number one tennis betting podcast and YouTube show brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. And we have a big tournament this week. It's a WTA 1000 over in Qatar, in Doha. A venue I've been to a couple of times. A very nice place, a nice part of the world. Good weather as well, outside as well. Nice. That's what tennis is about, outside action. I've just come back from an indoor tournament in Montpellier. I'll tell you about that in a minute, but good afternoon to our WTA handicapper. It is Mr. Tim Dennis. How are you, mate?
Yeah, Nigel. Yeah, good to see you. I'm very well, thank you. You're pretty much fresh off the plane, aren't you, from Montpellier?
Yeah, it's only that. It's an hour and 10 minutes flight, straight in, straight home. Fantastic, brilliant. But it was a good little trip. It's nice to see. I don't like tennis indoors. However much I go to tennis tournaments, but I don't like watching tennis tournaments outside, sunshine. That is what tennis is about for me.
Yeah, you want the sun on your back in the summer months, but I guess in Europe this time of the year we don't get much of that. So if we're going to have any tennis, I guess it's got to be indoors, really. But we've got obviously outdoors outside of Europe this week, and there'll certainly be sunshine over there in Doha. It's just shame we're not there, Nigel.
Yep, the tournament's available and all the matches are available to download on the Bet Rivers app. You can watch it, you can live stream it if you have a bet on the app itself. Let's have a look at this tournament. I mean, it is the tournament in Doha, in Qatar. It's a 1000, a lot of good players in it. And the number one player in the world isn't there. She's not Sarah Sabalenka, but we do have Świątek as the number one seed. Before we go into the runners and riders and the stats here, obviously we start off with the conditions. The conditions are going to be hot, surely.
Yeah, conditions, they do look pretty good. I think the weather's going to start. It's going to be obviously sunshine, low to mid 80s at the start of the week. Slightly getting a little bit warmer as the week goes on. I think come the weekend, by the time the finals get underway, it's going to be into the high 80s, maybe even just sort of sneaking into the 90s. But yeah, sunshine. Conditions certainly different at night, though. If you're having a bet on these tournaments in the individual matches, you want to keep an eye on the schedule to see whether your player's playing in the day or at night, because I mean you can be sort of into the sort of high 60s at night, a lot colder, a lot cooler, ball not flying anywhere near as quick as if you've got a player playing sort of lunchtime or early afternoon. So definitely keep an eye on those players and when they're scheduled to play these matches. Conditions are gonna vary a lot from day to night.
Exactly that. I was just to mention that point myself. I've actually been here. I went there for the World Cup. I've been there for the tennis as well. My friend actually lives across the street from the tennis tournament. Used to play for Manchester City. A guy called Nick Summerby. His dad was Mike Summerby. Played in the so we went there in the day. Beautiful, sun shining, very quick. In the evening, you had to put a jumper jacket on. It was really cold. So that's a very, very important point if you're looking at the in-play odds or you're looking at obviously the schedule. The schedule isn't yet known, so you'll be able to find out the schedule nearer the time on the BetRivers app, or also the WTA Tour app as well. Before we go into the runners and riders, look at the trends. What trends you got for us?
Yeah, so I think only two unseeded players have won it in the last 10 years. Anisimova was one of those last year, obviously kind of coming back from that sort of break. That's why she was unseeded. Obviously, she certainly won't be unseeded this year. And I think the last player for that to win was Elise Mertens back in 2019. In between that, Iga Świątek won it twice as the number one seed in 24 and 23. And she was the number 7 seed when she won it in 22. So yeah, the seeds do have a pretty good record, as you probably expect at something like the Masters 1000. Even though Świątek's won sort of 3 of the last 4 years, I mean, it does. The conditions are sort of on the quick side of medium. I think the court speeds are like a reasonably quick, and they are very similar to actually the service hold stats to what you'd have in Australia and sort of US Open. I think last year it was 66.7 was the service hold percentage. So certainly, like we said, during the day there, conditions are going to be on the quicker side. But Świątek has won it 3 of the last 4 years. She's a player who generally likes conditions a little bit slower, even though she sort of changed that up last year by winning Wimbledon. So maybe it could suit both. But the court speeds do tend to be on a little bit on the quicker side. So again, it might vary as to when these matches are played, certainly different day and night, but those are the stats there. Yeah, 66.7% from last year, service hold percentage.
Let's have a look at those previous winners and the runners-up. Last year, Amanda Anisimova won it as an unseeded player, as Tim said there she's not going to be unseeded this year. She's actually seeded number 3, is it? She's 3, seed 4, but she's number 3 seed, I believe.
Yeah, she is.
She
yeah,
beat
with Sabalenka.
Ostapenko last year in the final. Iga Świątek has won it 3 times in succession, 2024, 23, 22. Petra Kvitova won it in 21. Sabalenka won it in 20. Elise Mertens won it in 19. Kvitova again won it in 2018. As you can see, recent years, it's always been the top players won it. And players got to the final as well. Rybakina, Pegula, Muguruza, Kvitova, very good record. So it's an interesting roll of honour there, because you have the big servers like Kvitova, you have 2-time winner and a finalist as well. Then you have Świątek, who wants it like on a slower condition. So is there like are we going out for a big server or just a medium place player? It doesn't really see an identity of what the winner is actually here.
Yeah, I think maybe that's sort of conditions based, Nigel. I think like similar to like a tournament, let's say Brisbane. I mean, court speeds are fairly similar here to there, but that is definitely a sort of power players sort of paradise. Whereas this, you have got Świątek in there, players like Mertens winning, Pegula in there making a final. But then you have got the stronger players like Anisimova, you probably have down as a power hitter, Kvitova the same, Sabalenka, a previous winner, Pliskova in her heyday, a strong server. So I think it's with Świątek being in there as well, obviously one of the best players in the world at the time. It could be a bit of everything, a bit something for everyone here. But I do think a real key stat, like we mentioned there, is keeping an eye on when your players, you're having individual match on when they're scheduled to play, because that's a real key thing here. So, I mean, in those previous years, some of these players might have played all their matches in a day, maybe a bit of both, maybe all at night. So definitely I think that's the key thing to do, is just keep an eye on when your player is playing for these individual bets. Obviously, that's a little bit difficult to do for an outright point of view, because you're never going to know as they progress in the tournament when they're going to be scheduled to play. But it does look like there's something for everyone, I think, like you mentioned.
If we look at the draw, the top 8 seeds all have byes through to round 2. So they're no problem. They're into the second round. They're through to the last 32. And then top 8 seeds are Świątek, Paulini, Anisimova, Svitolina, Alexandrova, Goff, Andreeva, and Rybakina. And if it went to the seeds, that is where we think it will go. This is the last 16. Świątek with Mertens, Noskova with Paulini, Anisimova with Mukova, Navarro with Svitolina, Alexandrova with Towson, Samsonova, Goff, Andreeva, Mbuku, and Schneider against Rybakina. Now, I'm looking at this draw, and the one section of the draw I don't like is Q2. I think Q2 is absolute stacked. Anisimova, Svitolina, Mukova's in there, Navarro, dangerous opponents, Ilya, Valentova as well. That's a tricky little group. But is there a section that you think is a little bit more favourable than the others? Is top half, bottom half, or a quarter that you identified where the value lies?
I completely agree with you about Q2 there. I think the quarter I probably do like is Q3, I think. I think that's probably one of the favourable ones. I think Świątek will be happy up there in Q1, but I think probably maybe 2 and 4 are the harder. So whether there's a bias about being high or low there, I'm not quite so sure, because they kind of counteract each other. But I think if I was the players I'm looking to get with are probably going to be in Q3. That probably looks, if there is an easier quarter out of the 4, that probably looks the easiest one. Obviously, that we were missing sort of 3 players here. Sabalenka withdrawing, along with Pegula and Bencic. I think Bencic withdrew last week for illness, and obviously she hasn't recovered from that. So they're the 3 big players we're missing. But yeah, I think Q2 looks tricky, and Q3 is the one that takes my eye. I'm not sure what you thought, if anything took your eye, and any of the others away from Q2.
I think Q3's Coco Goff's in it. I mean, she's vulnerable. You might get a big price semi-finalist, Alexandrova, Samsonova, something like that. The bottom quarter, I think Rybakina is going to take some beating, but I think it's going to be hard for her to hit the levels that she won at the Australian Open. But let's have a look at some odds. Jelena Rybakina, the Australian Open champion, is the favourite here, plus 275. I think it's going to be quite an achievement for her to win the Australian Open and then come here and win this title as well. Sabalenka failed last year. Iga Świątek's plus 333. Goff plus 650. I mean, that is not for me at all. Amanda Anisimova $7. Mira Andreeva 11. Svitolina 16. And Mbuku 25. Mukova 33. Alexandrova 40. Paulini 40. Towson 50. Schneider 50. Emma Raducanu is in final action today. She's 50. Linda Noskova 50. And Kenwin Zheng 50. And then Elia 66 and 66 to 1. And loads of other players as well. There's a few talking points on this. You've got Zheng obviously making a comeback. You've got Goff looking for some form. You've got Rybakina. Can she show the form that she did at the Australian Open? I mean, what's your approach on the outright market here?
Yeah, Rybakina obviously the favourite there. I think she's 20 of her last 21 matches. I think she's won obviously an incredible end to sort of last season and progressed through into this, only losing to Mukova so far this year. I think 275 is probably about right, but obviously she's I imagine she's met her main goal already of the year, winning that Australian Open, and these players can't keep winning forever. I think that's a fact. Iga Świątek there, obviously winning it 3 of the last 4 years. I think when she came here last year, she had a new coach, and whether it just took her time to bed in, I think some people will be tempted by that in what looks a reasonably fair Q1 for her. Anisimova, Goff, maybe on just about short enough. I think in Andreeva down there in that bottom side. I think she beat Rybakina 2 out of twice last year fairly comfortably. I think she beat her at in Dubai, where she was a winner, and also in Indian Wells, I think. So she'll be, if she does that goes to seeding, she'll meet Rybakina in the quarterfinals there. So maybe that's an opportunity for her. I thought right at the top there in Q1, thought maybe plus 5,000 Noskova might look a little bit of value. She struggled in the early part of the season. I saw her leg was heavily taken a few times.
I have her as someone I think could go well in this tournament. I like Noskova. I thought 51 was a decent price.
Yeah, I think we can agree on that there. That's certainly one that sort of took my eye. Going back to Q3, I was tempted with Goff, but I do think plus 650 might just be a little bit short. The reason I say I was tempted with her was, I mean, Alexandrova was playing in that final now, so how much she's going to have left in the tank. And I did see just before we came on here, she was having a medical timeout with what looked a little bit of a shoulder issue. So maybe we'll have to see how she gets on in the rest of that final, whether she comes here. But she's got a good head-to-head record over. I think she's 4-1 head-to-head record, and she's actually got a 4-0 head-to-head record against Andreeva, who, like I said, leads Rybakina from that last year. So if Goff was to get to the semis and Andreeva took out Rybakina, then it could be a way through for Goff there. But I did tend to agree with you that the plus 5,000 there did sort of stick out to me with Noskova. She's going to have a reasonably, I think she'll take care of my joint early on. Not sure. She seems to have hit a little bit of a wall joint. She obviously finished the last season really well, but you'd fancy Noskova in these conditions to take care of her. And I think on these conditions, if she met Pauline in the last 16, perhaps you fancy her, and then likely to meet Iga Świątek in the quarters. I think plus 5,000 might be fair. Same price as Raducanu. I mean, here's a question: when was the last time 2 Brits were in a two women's finals on the same week? I can't imagine that was too recent. Nigel, can you?
Not in my lifetime. I can't remember that. And my lifetime is a long lifetime, so it will be a long, long time ago. So on the outright market here in Doha, so are we playing Noskova at 50s?
I think we're going to have to. Yeah, I think it's certainly the fact we both agree on that. I was tempted with Goff.
That's not honestly. That is not a good thing. Don't take that as like a positive towards your play. That's probably more of a negative that I've actually.
Well, I think the price is more than fair. I expected it to be probably, I don't know, 33 to 1, maybe about that. So I think plus 5,000 is more than fair. I did coming through that Q3. I was tempted with Goff because, I mean, Clara Towson, she came through a long match loss yesterday. She had also had a medical timeout in that. So how much she might have left in the tank for this? Samsonova looked okay to start the week, but when it got a bit tougher, she folded, which she tends to do. So I think I'm gonna, even though I think 650 is probably about right, I might have to have a little bit on Goff, and then I think a bit on Noskova in that Q1 as well. Then we've got sort of one in each half. So I think that's probably where I'm going to go here.
I wouldn't be betting Goff at plus 650, but I thought her performances in the Australian Open, her serving always lets you down as well, so I'm slightly worried about that.
She looked good until that game she played. Was it Svitolina she lost comfortably to? Yeah, but she did look. She looked okay up to there. Yeah, too bad to be true. I don't know. I don't. A little bit of a question mark, but she looked good up to that point. And
would it be too quick for her as well? Would the court be? Was it slower? the slower the better? Would it be
Perhaps. I think the deeper you get into these tournaments, the later you're probably going to start, which obviously that's going to suit her. If she, I think these sort of semi-finals, finals are going to be certainly played late afternoon into the evening there. So if she does get that far, I think that's going to play to her advantage. But I mean, I've always been the one to sort of shout from the rooftops how bad her serve is, and here I am sort of chancing her here. So I think I'm just tempted though by the fact that the head-to-head she's got over Alexandrova and perhaps Andreeva, because I'm also hoping that Rybakina can't keep winning forever. So I just sort of going through the draw, I just like her to get to, at the very least, the quarters and probably the semis, where hopefully she'll play Andreeva, who she's got such a great head-to-head record over. So I'm kind of suckered in by that, I think.
So what is our staking plan? We've obviously got 2 plays. What are we doing?
Yeah, I think if we have 3/4 of a point each way on Coco Gauff and 1/4 of a point each way on Linda Noskova.
Right. So we are risking 2 units.
Yeah, I think so.
So 0.75 points each way on Gauff at plus, was it 650?
650.
And 1/4 point each way on Linda Noskova at 50-1. That will be our pick on the outright market. It's very rare that we come on this show with outright selections and obviously the odds, because we were filming on Saturday and don't really usually. This tournament actually starts tomorrow, so make sure you head across to Bet Rivers to get all those latest odds, and you'll be able to get those prices now online and available on the app. And if you do download the app, you'll be able to live stream these matches as well. And talking of matches, we do have a match. We have a match. This is strange. We come back on the Monday show, but we have a match for us to discuss. It's the match between Ostapenko and a match between Paula Badosa. 2 players that I would not be trusting with anyone's money the way that they are. But they have a bit of recent history between each other. They played 5 times previously. 3-2, the head-to-head in the favour of Ostapenko. She's won the last 2 encounters as well, but she's in shocking form at the moment. Badosa's not in the great form herself, but we have a pick that you like here. If we look at the odds, Badosa is -167. Ostapenko is +133. Spread is 2.5, and total here is 21.5, which does look very generous on the over at -113. What do you got for me?
Yeah, we spoke about Ostapenko, didn't we, on our last show? And you spoke about how bad a form she's been in. And
I bet her on round 1, opposed to round 1. The other girl had 2 set points. I can't remember who she played. She had 2 match points against her. She won the first set, played the second set. I had 2 match points against her. Didn't take them, lost the match, and then Ostapenko came back and lost in the second round. I read it perfectly, but lost.
Yeah, I saw that match as well. It's
who did she play? I can't remember who she played.
Selekamova.
That was it.
And I think she had match points in that tiebreak. And and it was kind of when Ostapenko won that tiebreak, it was kind of only going to go one way. But Ostapenko did her best to lose that match. She was really poor, wasn't she? She does lead the head-to-head 3-2 here, one each on outdoor hard courts. Both, and the last 2 matches have gone the distance. They've both gone to 3 sets. I think over those 5 matches, Ostapenko, she's ahead on the service points, 1 on return points, 1 totals, 103 to 97. So a little bit of an advantage. I think as far as Badosa goes, I think her return from injury this year, 3 of her 6 matches have gone the distance to 3 sets. And the 2 that didn't were when she lost to Rybakina in straights, and she came through against the world number 282, Zarina Diaz. So I think probably fairly expectant that those 2 matches sort of went as you'd expect, sort of under 2.5 sets, for 1 for her and 1 against her, with the 1 against Rybakina. She lost in the second round here last year to Anisimova, having played a 3-set match in her first round against Zarazua. And I think as far as Ostapenko goes, yeah, she is in a slump, isn't she? She's only won 2 of her last 10 matches, and that coming against the world number 81 and 76. And she was comfortably beaten in that match after she won to Sarah Bejek in Abu Dhabi last time. And I think the way I saw this match, I'd be very surprised if either one of these 2 was able to play a sort of clean match and get rid of the other one. We know Ostapenko plays plenty of long matches. Badosa doesn't seem to me at the moment to quite have the confidence to sort of kill players off, and I don't think her level's quite at that height. And I think this is going to be a real sort of trading match you can sort of get stuck into if you want. And I think the best way I read it was the over 2.5 sets was plus 140 there. I think, like I mentioned, with Badosa having half of her matches already going to that distance this year. The way Ostapenko plays, she does go well here. Ostapenko, she was obviously a beaten finalist here last year. I think on the route she beat Iga Świątek, who we all know she's got an incredible record against. She beat Samsonova and Paulini along the way before losing to Anisimova in that final. I think she obviously lives in this part of the world. She is in a slump, like we mentioned, but she should have good memories coming back here. I think the -167 on Badosa is probably about right, but probably too short enough for me to get involved with the record kind of Ostapenko has here. But I would be amazed if either one of these can get rid of the other one cleanly, because I think just the way these two play tennis, it sort of stinks of overs to me. And I think the best way to go is over 2.5 sets there at +140.
Yeah, certainly a little bit better than the over 21.5, which is -113. There are about 70 different markets available on the BetRivers app. Download that app. And if you do download the app, you might have an opportunity to get involved in February Fun Bet. Tennis, soccer, basketball, whatever your sport you're following right now, bet on it with February Fun Bet. Betting Weekly and BetRivers have teamed up to give you a $10 bonus bet at BetRivers when you enter a bonus code BW201. That code again is BW201. Offer expires on February the 15th. Must be 21. Eligible players only. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And it's a big weekend of sport across stateside as well, with the Super Bowl as well. So a whole load of action and lots of opportunities to get involved in February Fun Bet. Bonus code BW201. There are a whole host of other matches as well. Not many odds available, but there's some really nice matches, isn't there? Valentova against Ilya, Osario against Raducanu. Some really nice looking first round matches. Do you have any other couple of matches that you sort of caught your fancy?
Yeah, I thought Qinwen Zheng, she's obviously making her first appearance. I think she's played since the end of September, so she's on the comeback trail. I think she plays Sophia Kenin, who's been lacking a bit of form, so perhaps an opportunity for Zheng to try and get started and get a bit of momentum. Maria Buskova plays Victoria Mboka. I think that's an interesting first round match. Clara Towson, she plays Katerina Siniakova. Perhaps she's going to have to see how she comes out of her last game. Jacqueline Christian, Karolina Mukova, that's a repeat of their Australian Open round match that in their first round here. That looks quite an interesting one. I think Maria Sakkari against Somnes. That could
basically what you're saying. They're all interesting. You've gone for every single match.
Well, there's lots of interesting first round matches, and we'll have to keep an eye on when these odds come out and when they're scheduled to play, because as we mentioned before, that's gonna be play a big part in how you see these matches. I think conditions are varying so much from day to night that really is the key thing to keep an eye on.
The one bet we do have, though, is that over 2.5 sets in that match between Paula Badosa and Jelena Ostapenko. We also are involved in two matches, two players outright as well. Goff at +650 and Noskova at 50-1. And we will know the order of play by Monday, because myself and Tim will be back on Monday to look at all, I think we were second round matches then, looking at the second round matches over in Qatar. And as the tournament goes on, you'll be able to follow us on our socials at Because We Win across Instagram and Twitter as well. You'll have seen me last week in Montpellier. We'll have Sean over in Rotterdam this week, and Tim will give me some tips as the tournaments get on later on the WTA. Myself and Sean will be back tomorrow on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, looking at those tournaments in Rotterdam and 2 other tournaments this week, 3 tournaments on the ATP Tour. And obviously all week we'll have you covered across all the world of sport. It's a big weekend as well, the Super Bowl. And Doug and Mike have been in great form on the stateside on Betting Weekly live PM show. I think they've cashed 4 daily doubles on the spin. So all looks good for the Super Bowl. And we'll be here throughout the week covering all the tennis on the men's and the women's tour as well. Tim, that's it, mate. Have a good one. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend to get studying up. And I'll be back on Monday for more best bets on the second round matches over in Qatar.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Nigel.
Take care. Speak to you all again soon. Take care.